to make jokes. You could be up here being chair. Anyway, I've been a minister at the Center of Enlightenment for almost 5 years now, and I am honored to be with you all today. There goes the brown out again.
Oh, it's really going down.
So on Tuesday, July 13th, 2021, I was walking across my living room drinking a glass of water. Never walk and drink out of a glass. That's a bad idea. It went down the wrong pipe, and that's called aspiration. I had pneumonia in 1999, and I aspirated while eating soup for lunch. That time, it was after a belch and cough, and I inhaled stomach acid into my lung. I recovered after a few days, so I thought this time it's only water, it's no big deal. Also, if you research aspirating online, all the medical websites say they don't really have anything they can do for specifically aspiration. And the sites I checked didn't mention any other things that they do for you just to support you. That comes later in this talk. So I felt bad for a couple of days last July, and then I felt better. So I did chores like mowing the lawn and laundry and stuff. Then I felt bad again for a couple of days, and then better, and then repeated that cycle for another week or so. So on Sunday, July 25th, a year ago to this Sunday, we threw a birthday party for my wife, Patty, at her daughter's house because her birthday is July 21st. And putting the chairs away afterward, I had to sit in their basement and catch my breath for 20 minutes or so. I was really out of it. Just that kind of thing. I didn't bounce back after that very well. And on the following Wednesday night, I had shortness of breath that wouldn't go away. I refused Patty's suggestion to go to the hospital because I was sure it was temporary and it would go away. Well, finally, that Friday morning, this is 39 hours later, I called her at work and said, you need to come home and take me to the emergency room because I need it. And she came home and we did that. After several hours and several tests, the doctors determined that I had experienced a heart attack sometime in the previous week. They couldn't tell when it actually happened because the enzymes that are released when a heart attack happens had already dissipated in my bloodstream. So it had been at least 48 hours. So on reflection, I'm pretty sure it was that Sunday putting chairs away, but it also could have been that Wednesday, the day that the shortness of breath all the time started because I cut the lawn again that day. So I might have had 2 heart attacks in less than a week. Anyway, the cardiologist determined that I had a 99% blockage in the upper part of my coronary artery and a 90% blockage in the lower part of my coronary artery. They call a heart attack caused by blockage in the coronary artery a widowmaker. A 99% blockage should have killed me, but it didn't, and we will discuss that later in the sermon. The following Monday, August 2nd, they put stents through those 2 blockages and released me the next day. 2 weeks later, they put stents through 2 other blockages that were 80% and 70% in 2 different arteries on the sides. So the first 2 stents were done during my hospital stay after my trip to the emergency department. And yes, that's what they call it, the emergency department, or ED. They don't like it if you call it the emergency room. I think that's because there's dozens of rooms in the department, so saying room minimizes the scope of their work, especially after the pandemic and all those people having to be treated and then a lot of them not making it. It was very stressful for those people, so we need to cut them as much slack as possible. And I got to experience that all last fall with all the delays and things happen because of the shorthandedness, because of people dying, people quitting, people retiring. The pandemic hit the medical industry maybe worse than anybody else. So I was in the hospital for 5 days and released to my home to wait for the follow-up procedure. The cardiologist told me that I was supposed to act like I was still in the hospital for those 2 weeks. So that's what I did. I laid on the couch, watched TV, played with my cell phone, and slept. Oops, correct that. I was not allowed to lay down for a whole month until 2 weeks after the second stent procedures. So instead, I sat and watched TV, etc., etc. I even had to sleep sitting up in an armchair for a month. So one reason to keep your cardiovascular system healthy is so you won't have to sleep sitting up in an armchair for a month. Believe me, it's not as fun as it sounds. After I was cleared to drive and started cardiac rehab, I took thank you cards to the nurses who had cared for me those 5 days. They were surprised and grateful. Most people don't go back and say, thank you for saving my life. But I thought it was the least I could do. I think I gave them gift cards too, but my memory not so good anymore either. Now comes the part where I explain how and why I survived a widowmaker heart attack for 5 days without medical assistance. I have a very powerful spirit council that works with me always, as you've heard me talk about many times. And as part of that council, I have a very determined guardian angel who first presented themselves to me when I was 2.5 and saved my life when I was sitting on a teeter-totter, 2.5, little David, and my brother that's 6.5 years older than me, something like that, he jumped on the other end. So he was 9. And I flew through the air, they say, like super baby. And I got up and walked away from it. And the next day I complained about, mommy, it hurts. And she took me to the doctor, well, to the emergency department and x-rays. I had a broken collarbone. And a few years ago, I was taking an intro to mediumship course just to see how somebody else teaches it. And they did a simple meditation. And so I think it was to meet their guardian angel. So I asked my guardian angel, how did we meet anyway? And she said, remember when you flew like super baby? I said, yeah. She said, well, I caught you. Otherwise you would have broke your neck. That's the first time she saved my life that I know of. I don't say their name anymore because they have been attacked by negative people and forces in the past. They're a little gullible. So they sometimes let people in they shouldn't. So my gatekeeper and the rest of them are really responsible. They protect my guardian angel at least as well as that my guardian angel protects me. Now I can name you 3 other times my guardian angel has saved my life that I know of, and others in my spirit council whisper that it is triple or even quadruple that amount. So I could have potentially died 16 times by the time I've gotten to 62 standing in front of you, but my guardian angel, with the help of the team, saved me again and again. All I know is that I am so grateful for all of their presence in my life, particularly my guardian angel. Guardian angel, thank you, thank you, thank you. I thank my spirit council multiple times per day for their work in my life because I think gratitude is just as more important. Expressing gratitude is just as important as asking for abundance because those are the 2 sides of the street. You don't do one, you don't get the other. Spirit told me a few weeks ago that I needed to give this public thanks during the anniversary week of my heart attack. So that's why I switched with Reverend Carol. And that's why I'm speaking today, because they told me, and it was one of those, you're doing this, but they don't like it when you speak for your own cheering. You're doing this. Okay, don't yell at me. Now, one of the many reasons to develop a conscious connection with your spirit guides is so that they can yell at you. Oh, no, wait, that's not right. It's so that they're more able to assist you in times of need. In fact, they just might save your life. That's a good one, right? I have one more thanks to give, and that's to my wife, Patty, who puts up with my nonsense. Through last year's adventure, she has learned to drag people to the emergency department, whether they want to go or not. We went through that with her dad a few times. Only once did we actually drag him. But Patty thought I had more sense, saying that I'm a spiritualist minister and a spiritual healer, and my guides talk to me all day, every day. Boy, I had her fooled, didn't I? Almost got myself killed. I've known women that are stubborn too, but I also have a double dose of Shaw in me. So
My husband did the same thing though. He was feeling bad and I've had CPR for like 15 years and I said, "You go to the hospital." He said, "No, I'll just go for a walk." When I came home, my answering machine was a nurse saying, "You need to come to the hospital because your husband is hurt."
we picked him up out on the sidewalk.
No, he made it there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I was like,
Fortunately, my brother did not.
Yeah.
He went to urgent care and then went home and died.
oh,
Neither did my uncle-in-law, Steve, who used to own the resort up north.
He didn't want to wait.
yeah.
So speaking of lessons, I have learned two very important ones from these experiences, and I have told them to many people in the past year. As the great motivational speaker Zig Ziglar once said, repetition is the mother of learning and the father of action, which makes it the architect of accomplishment. So I will tell you all these lessons now, even though some of you have heard them once or 20 times. First, if you aspirate any part of your breathing apparatus, you could even inflame your nose from like stomach acid that came up. If you inflame any of it, go to the emergency department. Those websites were mistaken. When I was in the hospital, they had me on oxygen for like the first 3 days. They took it out that Sunday afternoon, I think. And then I took breathing treatments the whole time up until my stunt procedure. And those breathing treatments were the most successful thing I got in the hospital, aside from the stents that saved my life. Those breathing treatments, they work on aspiration. I don't know why the websites say they don't have any treatment for them. It's crazy. Secondly, if you have shortness of breath for more than 15 minutes, even if it's just 16 minutes, go to the emergency department, because a healthy person catches their breath in less than 15 minutes. An unhealthy person does not. And after my experiences last summer, I'm an expert at that one. Finally, I have to thank all of you present today who sent prayers and healing last summer and throughout the past 12 months. Because in addition to the heart attack, in February, I slipped on some ice and broke 3 transverse process on the left side of my spine. And then 3 weeks ago, I had a cataract removed from my left eye. And so all that love in the form of prayers and healing has been greatly appreciated and wisely used by my spirit council. So in conclusion, thank you all for your time. Thank you for your attention, and thank you for your love. Yay. Wasn't our speaker great? Everybody